Story 1. We recently went to an auction and sold our house. The couple who purchased it turned out to be rude and entitled. We were very thorough in preparing our sale documents, detailing all the renovation work we'd completed. Due to public holidays during our open house period, we had more inspection times than usual and even opened the house privately for some interested parties. There was ample opportunity for checking everything out. The auction went fine, but the first sign of trouble came afterward. The couple took nearly 2 hours to sign the contract. It was explained to them that this was an unconditional sale, meaning they couldn't pull out of the sale for any reason without losing their deposit. They also couldn't request a building or pest inspection now and use the findings as a reason to back out and receive their deposit back. Those things are meant to be organized before purchase, or you just take your chances. That's how it works here when it's an auction. A private sale has different rules. They then asked to purchase some furniture, which we said we'd think about. In the next few days, the real estate agents started plaguing us with numerous texts and calls asking various questions about the property on behalf of the couple. Questions like what the roof tiles were made of, when we last cleaned the roof, what the deck was made of, what material was under the deck, where the storage battery for the solar panels was, and if we had the air conditioning serviced. We answered all, but it started to become annoying, and we advised the agents that all of this information was either in the ad or the building report or should have been discussed before the purchase. It became clear that the couple were wealthy investors who had moved from another country and just bought the house off the photos. They then demanded a building inspection. Our conveyancer urgently advised against this. If they found a pretense to pull out of the deal, they would lose their deposit, but we wouldn't have funds for the settlement of our new house. We had no legal obligation to say yes, so I advised no. The agents harassed us for a week, begging, but I told them to drop the topic and it's a definite no. The couple then asked to bring forward the settlement date. We were okay with this, but the lady we purchased our new house from was not. To make the money work, we needed to settle the old and new houses on the same day, so we had to say no or else spend a lot of money putting ourselves up in a hotel for a few weeks. We couldn't afford that and said no. This angered the couple because they had to pay extra rent where they were currently living. We apologized, but it was out of our hands. The agents harassed us again on the couple's behalf, but we stayed firm. Another barrage of questions about the house followed, which we answered. They then asked us which furniture we were selling them. We declined to sell anything as these people were just too much trouble. Then the couple asked for their pre-settlement inspection. This is normal to check that nothing included in the sale contract has been moved from the home, like fixtures and fittings such as curtains. It's legally not meant to be done until 7 days before settling. They requested it 15 days out. We tried to tell them to come on the Monday or Tuesday before settlement so that the house would be empty. They refused. We ended up saying yes as we didn't want them there while we had our storage containers on site and had scheduled time to be packing. We made it clear the house was not in final sale condition, and they agreed in writing. On the inspection day, we happened to have an old couch on the nature strip awaiting hard rubbish collection. It had been completely torn up by our cats, and not even any of the neighborhood scavengers had collected it. They were clearly upset we didn't sell the furniture to them and accused us of dumping rubbish on their property. We reminded them it wasn't theirs yet and showed them the council booking slip for collection. We drove around the block at inspection time and settled in the court opposite. Watching them bring someone we highly suspected was a builder on site without our permission. We couldn't prove it, though. Finally, we were packing our storage containers the weekend before settlement. We took a 5-minute break and sat inside with the front door and container door open, keeping an ear out if anyone started sniffing about our goods. Lo and behold, we heard people walking around in the driveway next to our containers. I got up and instantly saw these guys were builders measuring our fence. I demanded to know what they thought they were doing. They said they were told no one would be there and they were allowed in. I snapped and told them that this was still my property. They didn't have permission to be there and to leave. They refused and said they would just be a minute. I said no, they were trespassing and to get out. They started walking over to me, being threatening and intimidating, getting in my personal space. I am a woman, under 5 feet, and an easy target in their eyes, I guess. At this point, they looked up and saw my very tall and large husband coming towards them and hot-footed it to their car. I called the agents and my conveyancer in a rage and let them know this was completely unacceptable and I would call the police if they were seen again. The couple denied they sent them. The day of settlement came, all was good for the money. We handed our keys over and breathed a sigh of relief that this was all over. But it wasn't. We got an angry email from the couple's conveyancer claiming we left goods on the property and didn't leave it in fit condition for settlement, and that as his client wasn't allowed on the property, he couldn't check for this properly. We reminded the conveyancer that his client had already put in writing that they came to inspect too early and accepted the condition of the house. He attached pictures of the goods they wanted picked up. It was a bag of rubbish we forgot in the shed, probably from the day their builders came and we were distracted. In the photo were also things like spare fence pickets and roof tiles, which we left as a courtesy. Fine, we said, this is all too hard. We'll come and get it. So we had to get permission to go on the property as it was no longer ours. My husband got there and started packing up everything in the photo. The owners freaked out and demanded that he leave everything there. My husband refused until they put in writing what they wanted left. Begrudgingly, they wrote that they wanted the fence pickets and all the spare bathroom and roof tiles left. Then my husband took the paint tins we left. We had recently renovated before we sold, so we left some paint for touch-ups. They wanted him to leave it all there but refused to put it in writing, so he took it all and the snail pellets too. The garden had a massive snail problem, but they can pay out of their own pocket to deal with that now. In the end, all they really wanted gone was the bag of rubbish and the decorative steel panels at the back of the house, which we left as a fixture fitting as per the contract. They just made a fuss as retaliation about the builder to inconvenience us. The icing on the cake? They demanded my husband change the alarm code for them on his way out. He told them no, it was not his responsibility to do that, and he had left them detailed written instructions on how to do it themselves. They said they couldn't figure it out. He shrugged, told them to get a technician, and walked out. By contrast, at our new home, the previous owner left us a long handwritten letter explaining how the house works, some menus of her favorite takeout, and her number if there were any questions. She left us spare light bulbs, electrical parts, fittings, and spare floorboards. We were happy about that as we intended to change out the old carpet and could now match the rest of the flooring. We found that she had left behind some handwritten recipes and cookbooks. We texted her thanks for the note and asked if she would like her books. She was so grateful. That's how it should have gone. The people we sold to were so awful to deal with. If they had been nicer, we would have left the couple a handwritten note of our own, explaining to avoid the neighbor on the right as he has no sense of social norms, and the only way to get him to leave is to slam the door in his face. Oh, and also, he has severe pest problems on his property. It's a giant forest in suburbia, and he doesn't maintain it. Oh well. Hope they don't mind rodents, ticks, all manner of spiders, including nests of redbacks, jumping jack ants, eastern brown snakes, and foxes, or grass that is as tall as your shoulders. We also would have explained to avoid the neighbor to the left who we were sure was involved in illegal activities. Bikers at his house at all hours, constantly having roof plumbing done, pressure washing his truck most days to clean the residue. And in his off time, he played with power tools in a manner that can only be described as grinding a block of steel. Looking back, it wasn't a great place to live to start with, and it got worse over the years. I guess karma caught up to them. Hope they enjoy it. Story 2. This happened 8 months ago. My friend, Kylan, and I work in a woodworking company. It's a pretty great job for me as I love hands-on activity and creating things. Kylan, however, has more of a difficult time with it all, which is completely fine as I help him with it. His mom and my mom aren't necessarily close, but both support me and him in our work. We're pretty young, so it helps with reassurance. But a few days before this incident, I started to realize that Kylan's mom never really acknowledged my work. Now, that's not really a big deal to me as I don't require praise, but I do find it a bit weird as Kylan's mom has apparently had a few racial incidents at her own work, and I'm African. I was just assuming it's because she's afraid I'm a pretty built guy and 6'6". Fast forward to Tuesday, and I'm working on a wooden chair that has taken me a few more attempts than I wanted. The table saw I had been using to make clean cuts was pretty rusty from Kylan using it constantly. I headed out to the department to get a replacement and was a bit annoyed with Kylan not doing it himself. I came back and said, "Hey man, don't be afraid to change your equipment." He rolled his eyes and just replied with an okay, which just annoyed me even more. I pushed past it and continued. But minutes later, I heard Kylan laughing, and I looked up to find him laughing at my cutting. This made me extremely upset as I've been working almost day and night, while he only works 7-9 hours. This, along with his mom recently coming into the shop and laughing along with him. This got to me, and I walked over to Kylan and told him a few words that I shouldn't have. He immediately got defensive and pushed me back, and I was about to strike back when his mom instantly joined in with him and intentionally pushed me to the left where the saw was. Stupidly, I left it on. As soon as I was pushed back, the back of my hand was shoved right into the saw, causing a drizzle of blood to gush everywhere, and for my palm to be basically split in half with a huge gap between my pinky and ring finger. The shock kicked in, and I instantly grabbed my hand and shouted for my mom, who was on the other side of the shop. She immediately got an ambulance, and I was sent to the closest hospital. Kylan has been texting me almost every day apologizing for his mother. The only text from her was saying that this was my fault and to not hurt her son. Update. After scrolling through the comments, I think I need to clear some things up. I am 17 years old. I'm allowed to work here because my brother-in-law 29 owns it along with his father. I'm trusted. My mother and his are allowed to be in the shop, but are strongly advised not to be close. My mom is one of the managers. How did I manage to keep the saw on? Again, I'm not sure myself. Extremely critical mess up on my part. Your hand would have been split in half, yes. It is basically split in half. It stopped at a gap in between and thankfully by a miracle wasn't completely cut in half, but was inches away from a clean cut down the middle. As for my steps in legal action, I will most definitely be getting myself a lawyer and informing my local police. To be continued. Story 3. I work as a nurse. I love my job, but since COVID-19, we rarely get our full break time. I'm one of the people who prepared some nice food the night before. I eat breakfast or lunch at work, depending on my shift. We have morning, day, and night shifts. We have a fridge in the break room, a coffee maker, and a water boiler. Since COVID-19, we take breaks and shifts since only 3 people are allowed at once in the break room because of social distancing. I mostly go to the last break. One day, my lunch was stolen. The jerk didn't even take all of it, just picked the good stuff out. One day, I made myself some curry with chicken and fruits and vegetables. This person just took my chicken and left the rice. You want to dance? Fine. I found out one of the other nurses stole my lunch. I wouldn't really call her out because she could easily deny it. I don't have names on my container, and I trusted the good grace of people not to eat someone else's food. But then I thought of my revenge. I'm lactose intolerant, so when I eat dairy, I get stomach pains, cramps, and gas. Really bad. Put some cheese on me, and I can clear a room like the police with tear gas. This particular nurse is lactose intolerant too, but she's worse than I am. She gets diarrhea very quickly. We both are the only ones, and because of us, there is soy and almond milk in the fridge for the coffee. We fought for it. So I made my meal prep one evening and made pasta with cream cheese sauce. I earned some weird looks from my girlfriend, but I just smiled. I also cooked a separate meal with tomato sauce. The next day came. I came in extra early and put my food in the fridge. The one with dairy right in the front. The shift went by, and we had break time. As calculated, when I got in, at least half of my pasta with cream sauce was gone. I was pleased and waited for the literal crazy show to go down. After the break, we were standing at the front desk. The thief had stomach pain. "Everything okay?" I asked with a suppressed evil grin. She just nodded and then made a run for the toilet. "Have fun with the diarrhea and stay away from my food."